We are hearing from Reuters that is reporting that Israel, it says its forces are carrying out an operation against Hamas in Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, and they are targeting people, including medical teams as well as Arab speakers. They are also saying that Israel is calling on all Hamas operatives in the hospital to surrender at this point.
BBC reporting claiming Israel intentionally target Al-Shifa hospital staff and Arab speakers during its operations in Gaza. A day later, that same network forced to issue this correction.
And now an apology from the BBC. BBC News, as it covered initial reports that Israeli forces has entered Gaza's main hospital. We said that medical teams and Arab speakers were being targeted. This was incorrect and misquoted a Reuters report. We should have said IDF forces included medical teams and Arabic speakers for this operation. So we apologise for this error, which fell below our usual editorial standards.
Seems like a good place to kick off our Fake News Friday segment with our friends from Newsbusters. Joining us now, Curtis Houck is the managing editor of Newsbusters. Tim Graham serves as the executive editor. And gentlemen, welcome. Curtis, there's a pretty big error. At least they got on record correcting it. But your thoughts on how it played out?
This was unsurprising. You know, the BBC and the rest of the mainstream media have been known for decades, not just before this war, but I think, you know, for a lot of people who don't pay attention to the media, this puts it in perspective of just how biased the media are against Israel. They view Hamas and they view Gazans as the oppressed, the aggrieved folks against the wealthy, largely white elites, colonialists, privileged, etc. So, of course, they're going to take the word of Hamas over the word of the Israelis. They're going to engage in all sorts of dangerous rhetoric. This is exactly, as I said last week to you guys, this is kind of how the Holocaust happened. You had people who were willing to look the other way or willing to say, hey, we got to hear from both sides here.
Yeah, when a network or, again, any news network has to issue an apology or retraction, that's a major, major deal. MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell had an Israeli official on to talk about the IDF moving in on Al-Shifa Hospital, which we're just talking about, and she claimed they did nothing to help innocent civilians. Here's a clip.
People can't evacuate when they've been displaced. There's no place to go. That is another of the problems. And no place to get out because of the closure of the gates.
That first point, Israel has, in fact, opened up evacuation routes for Palestinian civilians. They have been prevented in many cases from escaping by Hamas itself, which has fired on civilians trying to leave the conflict areas. That, of course, is a double war crime. Hamas attacking Israeli civilians while endangering Palestinian ones as well.
We've heard it both ways.
We've heard it both ways. Tim Graham, your thoughts?
Well, I think what we've seen this week is they're so much more willing to believe Hamas, to use Hamas's body counts, their statistics. And then when Israel actually finds the Hamas command post in the hospital, they're like, what Israelis say is a command post. And yeah, Andrea Mitchell there, at least she's putting the Israeli spokesman on, but she's got to sit there and say, well, I don't believe half of what you say, at least half.